Hello and welcome to another just-in-time training. My name is Dewan Hall. I'm a consulting engineer within the Cloud Delivered Security Services organization. Today I want to cover DNS security and more specifically, how to obtain the user-to-domain query mapping. This JIT comes out of my experience helping account teams from around the globe with DNS security proof of concepts. From an agenda perspective, we'll start off by reviewing the DNS security workflow. We'll discuss the challenges of getting the user to domain query, and then we'll demo using Sinkhole to obtain the user to domain query mapping. Okay, so to review the DNS security workflow, we have a user querying typically an internal DNS server. Many of our customers have internal resolvers. The PA is deployed at the internet edge as per best practices. The PA only sees queries from the internal DNS server out to either the public resolver or to a caching resolver in the customer's DMZ. When the query traverses the PA with DNS security enabled and a DNS security profile applied, the PA will perform a parallel lookup for the DNS query. If the cloud service returns a verdict that is malicious, the PA will take the action that is configured within the anti-spyware profile. Typically, that action is to replace the IP address with a sinkhole IP address. The sinkhole address is then cached within the internal resolver. All users trying to connect to the domain will instead connect to the sinkhole address. Okay, so we know which users are connecting to the sinkhole address. Why is it so hard to obtain the user to query mapping? Well, let's start off with the fact that the PA did not see the user that queried the internal DNS server. The PA only saw the internal DNS server querying out to either a public resolver or a caching resolver in the customer's DMZ. And although we're able to see all of the users connecting to the domain, we don't know which user connected to which domain. The way we solve this is to attach a URL filtering profile to a security policy pointed to the sinkhole. Okay, let's get started and show how we can use the sinkhole to identify which user connected to which domain. Okay, so here I have my PA220. Notice that we have different users connecting to the sinkhole address. I have a filter looking for a rule of sinkhole. I have a receive time greater than or equal to. This is the default Palo Alto sinkhole address, sinkhole.paloaltonetworks.com. Notice which users are connecting to the sinkhole address, but we don't know which user connected to which domain. And that's because traffic logs do not contain the URL that the user was connecting to. All right, so let's go to threat. Let's go to threat. Okay, so here in threat, this is the internal DNS server. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the filter. And we'll see that we don't know which user connected to which domain because we only see the address of the internal DNS server. Let's go to URL filtering. And here in URL filtering, we'll notice that we do not have, and here in URL filtering, we'll notice that we don't have any entries in our logs. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and connect to a bunch of different domains. Let's go ahead and try to connect to some malicious URLs. We have a user on a system called Cali32, so authorized user on Cali32. And then I also have authorized user on a system named utility. We'll go back to traffic and we'll refresh the log. And we can see that we have entries from authorized user on Cali32. I'll go ahead and refresh again so we can also see utility for authorized user. There we have authorized user on the host utility. But again, we don't know which domain they connected to. Go to threat. And again, in threat, all we see is the internal DNS resolver. We don't know which user connected to which of these domains. And there will be nothing in URL filtering. Okay, so let's resolve this. We're going to go to policy. Within security policy, we're going to modify security policy for Sinkhole. So here's my security policy Sinkhole. I'm going to go ahead and attach a group profile. I have one predefined called Sinkhole. There we go, Sinkhole, attach it. I'm going to go ahead and commit this change. Okay, so while that's committing, let's go on over and take a look at our objects. So go to Objects. I'm going to come down to Security Profile Groups. Profile Group Sinkhole is using a default AV profile, a anti-spyware profile that is alert only, vulnerability profile that is alert only, and Sinkhole with alert for URL filtering profile, and then strict file blocking, which is the default file blocking on the Sinkhole profile. Now, to get the user to query mapping, you really only need the URL filtering profile. I have attached other profiles in case user connects on a different port and we can identify something other than URL filtering. It will be available in the threat logs. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the URL filtering profile. Sinkhole alert. And notice that we have alert for all of these different categories. Go ahead and click cancel. Let's check the status of our commit. We see the commit is still going. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video until the commit is at 90%. Okay, I'm resuming the video. We see that the commit is roughly 75%. Let's take a quick look at the anti-spyware profile. Just wanted to show you that for the security policy, the anti-spyware profile is using the default Sinkhole address, which is Palo Alto Networks, sinkhole.paloaltonetworks.com. Okay, so let's go ahead and check the status. Looks like our commit is just about complete. Let's clear the screen here. Clear. We're going to go ahead and rerun connecting to all of those different domains. Go back to monitor. We'll start off on traffic. Again, we see the different users, authorized user on utility, authorized user on Cali 32. We know the URL category, but we don't know the URL or the domain. Go to threat, and we will only see the source address of the internal DNS resolver. There will not be a user ID associated with that query. Go to URL filtering, and now that we have the Sinkhole profile attached, we should have entries within URL filtering and be able to see which user connected to which domain. And there we have it. So we can see that authorized user on utility tried to connect to this domain. We can see authorized user on Cali 32 tried to connect to this blockchain recovery domain. But the point being is that as long as you have a URL filtering profile attached to the default Sinkhole server, you will get user to domain query mapping using the Sinkhole. Okay, so let's go ahead and review. So in order to obtain the user to domain query mapping, you must have a security policy with URL filtering profile attached. The traffic must be classified as web browsing or SSL to invoke the URL filtering profile. What that means is that the Sinkhole server must be interactive when trying to connect to port 80 and 443. The default Sinkhole server does have that interactivity. So if you choose your own Sinkhole server, you must make sure that your Sinkhole server responds enough for the application to be classified as web browsing or SSL to invoke the URL filtering profile. Thank you.